Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 228 of Sold with Updike Pugh. I'm Jeff Updike.
I'm Weston Pugh, and today we wanted to talk to you about 5 reasons never to buy a home off market.
And when we talk about buying it off market, we're talking about buying for sale by owners, buying it without representation, getting into the whole thing by yourself without having some professional representation.
Those are qualifiers.
Yeah, because this is going to be, I promise you, it'll be the largest purchase you will ever make in your life. And one small snafu, and it can end up costing you quite a bit of money.
Yeah, because just that is the biggest thing, is that it's not just your home, it is the investment. And one of the first things we want to talk about is a lot of times the home price has not been vetted by the market. And that just simply means that a lot of times these prices, like the make me move and for sale by owner signs you see, those are dream prices.
Many times they are.
That they're just like, I'll move for this. And in a market like this, you might think that, or not know what's happening, and think, hey, you know what? I will get in bed with that and I'll take a stab at it.
And it can, as I said earlier, can be very dangerous financially to do that. The other thing that we were going to talk about is market awareness. One of the things that the Texas Real Estate Commission looks very closely at now is called geographic competency. And part of the geographic competency is knowing what is going to be built on that empty lot over there. Is
Right.
that going to be, is that suddenly going to become a pig farm, or, what is the zoning in this neighborhood?
What I have seen in our neighborhood is when they don't realize what deed restrictions are also limited to. And so if you're thinking you're going to be able to buy a house and put a second story on it, there's a really good chance that going down the road, when you tear that off and you get your permit, because that doesn't mean that they've actually looked at the deed, that you could be in a situation where your neighbors halt the process, and you could be in a really ugly situation. So again, these are situations where your money can get really tied up, living can get really questionable, and as many of us know, we're not just with four-legged and two-legged dependents. I mean, could be generational.
One of the other things that we were going to point out is the repairs confirmation. And I will tell a very quick story that I think will really highlight what this issue is. We had a home that we were representing buyer on. Seller was being represented by a realtor. The seller, in almost all cases, has to provide a seller's disclosure statement that meets a certain minimum requirement to the buyer. And one of the declarations that they made on this was that all of the plumbing had been replaced with PVC pipe. And right now, in 2023, we're at the point where homes that were built in the 40s and 50s and into the 60s, those homes had cast iron pipe that was under the house, and they go all the way to the street, and it's just about to the end of the age. And so this owner saying that all of it had been replaced with PVC was a really, really big deal. We had recommended to the buyers that we go ahead and have it scoped. It cost a couple $100 to do that, and the plumber sends a little scope down through roof jacks, and they really make sure. And sure enough, this house had 2 sections on it that were still cast iron. And I don't know that the seller was trying to make make that declaration falsely, but it just wasn't 100% correct. And so our buyer was able to say, hey, you made this disclosure over here, that's not really lines up with reality, and so we'd like for you to replace those 2 sections, and they did.
It makes a huge difference. And to piggyback on that are qualified vendors. And so doing this once every 8 years, maybe is the average that people move, you don't have a working list of whether it's an engineer, or whether it's the foundation company, or the plumber, or the pool. All of those come into play that are qualified and vetted, and not just something from a source online like an Angie's List, like that's actually vetted, that actually does repetitive business with us because they know that they're going to get more business with us.
Yes, absolutely. And again, it kind of goes back to the inspection part of it. You're even though you're probably going to have your inspection done, a lot of times this area comes into play when the inspector says, well, the air conditioner is about 20 years old. Maybe you ought to have an HVAC company look at it. And not every HVAC company will do that. Not everyone will come out and work on or do that kind of inspection thinking they're just coming out on a regular service call.
And speaking of ACs, that is getting really dangerous right now because they're about to make that conversion complete on the new systems, and it will be very difficult if your system is old to even have it updated. So
The last area was the terms of negotiation of the contract and takeoff. This is
where everything gets. This is where you're sewn in. This is where you're baked, and this is where if you don't know your outs and the timelines that you need your outs, it can get really ugly. And so, even if you have some legal expertise or knowledge, just not knowing how the lever works on certain things and how to push and what can pull makes negotiating very difficult for you. At that point, you're just praying to God that you're able to get to the closing table.
Yeah, and so these are just 5 of the reasons that we think it's not a really smart idea to buy something off market. There might be others. We'd love to hear your feedback on what you thought of these 5. If there are others you want to point out, certainly let us know.
And with that, just remember, we want to be your realtors for life.
When you're ready to talk real estate, you can reach us online, by phone, or by text at 214-377-2223.
And remember, we want to be your realtors for life.